Dr. Lauren Simkowitz is probably the only person in the boating industry in the United States that is a doctor. He's got a PhD in, what else? Economics. Dr. Simkowitz made his fortune in Maryland real estate. For as long as I've known him, and that's been about 20 years, he's had first one motor yacht and then another. They've all been large. In 1995, he started yacht managing for his friends because he was so good at it. And then 6 years ago, he started fractional ownership. His fractional ownership business is one of the most viable in the world, maybe the largest in the world, and he has a reputation in the United States of making it work. I've known Lauren for 20 years. I'm going to tell you that some of the things you're going to hear in a minute may seem fantastic, but they are true. Lauren, what is the underlying concept of fractional yachts? What brought you to this idea?
Most people who own yachts really don't use them that often. They sit 90% of the time. They're a wasting asset. So the development of the program was to let people buy the portion of the yacht that they're going to use. And this just makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of practical sense. If you're going to use the yacht 3 or 4 weeks a year, you'd buy a share. If you're going to use it 8 weeks a year, you'd buy 2 shares. It's just good, prudent use of your investment money.
Obviously, the thing that everybody's going to ask you is, how do you schedule their weeks in that yacht?
The way the program works is we take the cost of a yacht and divide it into 10 fractional shares. Just simple math, 10% shares. And each of the 10% shares entitles the owners to 4 weeks a year use. The boats travel. They have different itineraries, which makes it much more interesting for the owners. A boat, for example, might spend the winters in the Caribbean and the summers in New England. So they would spend 2 weeks in New England and 2 weeks in the Caribbean. So for example, an owner might receive the first 2 weeks in January in the Caribbean and the first 2 weeks in July in New England. The next year they would receive the first 2 weeks in February and the first 2 weeks in August. So to make it fair to everybody, we rotate 2 schedules or 2 cylinders. So people have different experiences, different times of the year on their same boat, of course.
So if somebody wanted to have the boat for Christmas time or the last week in August, every, 4 years or 3 years, their weeks will come up? Or they have to negotiate with one of the other people? Or how does that work?
Well, it's exactly right. In other words, it's a rotating schedule. The schedules are published a couple years in advance. The people are very nice. If, in fact, somebody needs a particular time, we have a concierge person, and they email that person, and then we try to effectuate a change in scheduling of some of the other owners. Thus far, everybody's been happy. It's very nice. A lot of people who buy into the program don't really care when they use the boat, interestingly enough. They're just happy to be on it. And they're willing to go anytime, whereas some of the owners who have children are limited when they can use the boat. So everybody seems to work together, and it's been working out very nicely, I'm happy to say.